Welcome back to Prue Bach with Feel Good Living. Today's episode is about quantum hypnosis continued, part 2. And what I have been doing until now has been introducing you to a foundation, an understanding, building a platform from which we can work together in a common understanding. So it was, who are we as a person? Why are we here? The purpose of life. Then do you know how rich we are in terms of personal power and resource? Talking about wealth in a different way to how we think of it as in riches in life. And also talking a lot about feelings and the power of how we feel, how we're being in our life, how much a richness that is that we totally underestimate. But is everything about the work that I do here with myself in my life and with clients. And then I introduced the concept of quantum hypnosis, which is describing basically how I work. I am a hypnotherapist and bringing the holistic picture into my work with a client and helping them understand their wholeness as a person. And then also the added element of, because I'm a science woman, I've been very much interested in science. So Einstein and so many other natural law thinking people that have been very attractive for me, as well as spirituality, like Dr. Wayne Dyer, like Louise Hay, the metaphysicists that have been helping clients also through time as holistic and metaphysical thinkers. And all of these elements I'm going to bring today together to help you understand what's in it for me. How is this valuable, all that you're talking about, Prue? So that's what we're going to unpack today in 4 different chapters. The first important critical thing I hope you've understood in building this stage for today is how powerful you are in your life. We are, as I describe to clients, and I'm beginning to understand more and more. Napoleon Hill said once, a quote of his has been, that it takes us half our life to work out that it's a do-it-yourself job. And that's exactly in all my searching, all my asking, in my inquisitiveness and curiosity, in seeking the answers for the well-lived life, that is what I have come to the conclusion of as well. And that's what I help clients to understand, that we are the center of our own universe. We are the product creating our life. So if we want to change our life, we need to know the product and make the changes with the product that then gets reflected in the world of the person. So it's all about know thyself and understand with me in hypnotherapy, but also as a holistic therapist. You come to understand that you can also relax because the truth lives within you. And even though you might not be convinced of that when you come to me, you're pretty convinced of it by the time you leave. So know thyself and be thyself true. That is the core of my concept that is going to be unpacked today, and then also gets unpacked with clients. Most of my sessions with clients are 1.5 to 2 hours long, and there's about a week in between each session. So usually people have come and completed their transformational change in laying the foundations to the creation of that change within a month. Periods are about 1 to 4 sessions, depending on what people come for. I treat self-worth and self-confidence, self-esteem, very much the self-relationship. I also treat weight loss. I also treat for stopping bad habits, whether it's indulgence in sugar or too much eating or smoking or whatever it is of the too much distraction that we can have in our life, as well as very much heartfelt conditions that can be either in terms of releasing the pain of negative feelings or the pain of relationships. So lots of different things that can be a reason to why people seek help. So knowing the power of oneself is an important start. And then today we're going to build on what is it that I can do now to positively influence myself and my environment so I can realize and experience the truth of the change I want to make. Because people, when they come to me, are very clear about what they have that they don't want. And then I help them to understand what they don't yet know, which is, how do I get what it is I want? But that requires also understanding how I got to where I'm at, and thereafter, what is it I don't know that I need to know to get where I need to go? So I love this duality that is very much a part of What is it that's holding me back in my now reality that I need to stop doing? And what is it I don't have an awareness of or consciousness of yet that I need to understand and know, and then start to consciously create? As well as a hypnotherapist, I can help them to release the blocks in the deeper layer of themselves, in this deeper part of the mind that is more to do with the past and conditioning, that are patterns and behavior, ways of thinking and feeling that are creating the action and the behavior that are creating the results. So it's unpacking what seems to be a simple thing. I just want to lose weight, Prue. I just want to stop smoking, Prue. I just want to stop eating sugar. I just want to stop biting my nails. I want to love myself. I want my relationships to work. Or I want to earn more money, or I want to change jobs, or I want to boost my confidence, or whatever it is. But it's a holistic approach that helps us easily, most simply, come to our solutions. So I have sought a long time the solutions for what I can now offer my clients. And being true to that journey for myself in finding the solutions I'm seeking, that now I am a accumulation of many things: a mental fitness coach, a manifestations coach, holistic hypnotherapist, and also a medical laboratory scientist with a focus on health and well-being. So my core is feel good living, which is about happiness, happy heart, and well-being, a happy body. So what does that involve? Depending on what the client comes for, depends on what it takes. But looking at all of those different tools in the workbox, there are lots of different things we can look at. Things I'm going to talk to you today about on this quantum hypnosis, and how can we go to work in making change, either to do it yourself through what I'm sharing on this channel, or by making an appointment with me and us doing it together. The first step to making a change is checking in on where am I? Where am I? Orientating ourselves by getting an idea about where am I at right now, and what has created me being where I'm at right now with what I've got right now that I want to be free of. And then after that, the important thing is moving on from there to understand then where I help the client to understand and know, what does that mean the solution is? And the solution is a fantastic combination of the answers being within the client, that's the soul, that's the infinite knowledge, that's what we're born with, that's what is existence within, that's what we've been talking about, the personality and the soul. So it's the answers are within, but together with me, then the conscious mind, the human mind, can then become more and more aware. And I'm a bridge between, I'm a coach between the client's unknowingly conscious mind and their all-knowing, infinite, intuitive soul awareness. And that together, over sessions with time, we piece the whole thing together in this holistic approach to then understanding and knowing what the solutions are. And once we know what the solutions are, then we know what to stop, and then what needs to be created by the client that is new. So this is where the interesting thing about change is, that I need to stop something to introduce myself to something new, invite something new in, and in stopping and starting, the transformation can happen. There are a lot of people, without consciously being aware, that are trying to make change with themselves or their external environment without changing what's creating the external environment. Because it comes back to, if I don't change how I'm being, which is my thoughts and my feelings, then I'm not going to change my actions, and I'm not going to change my behavior, and I'm not going to change my energetic signature, which we talked a lot about in Quantum Hypnosis first part. If I don't change my energy, if I don't change what I'm sending out, then nothing can change on the external. In my working with a quantum focus, I help clients to become very clear about the importance of knowing what it is that I want and knowing why it is that I want it. And then having a laser beam disciplined focus on that is what I'm going for. That is what I'm being. That's what I'm sending out. And therefore I am a clear and pure as can be signal that I am calling something to me. So these are lots of different factors made simple, but in my knowing it and helping my client to know it, becoming very clear about what it takes to make the change and how to do it so that it becomes a self-created reality. Because I'm nothing more than a bridge that helps the client be their own solution with the answers within that they can become conscious of and work together about, then in the unifying and the harmonizing being their own ultimate solution. It has been very much said that clarity is power. Information is power, but information only executed is power. But getting clear on what it takes, and then with using hypnotherapy, being able to bridge from the knowing to the doing. And that's where I love the whole complete package that is possible in working with quick, deep, real change as a hypnotherapist, because it's a holistic, conscious mind, body in the unconscious, and the programming in the subconscious, where we're helping the client to come out of the matrix, pull themselves out of their life as they've known it, and look objectively at their subjective reality, and helping make that change out of the matrix of what has been an automatic program until now, and then making the conscious relevant change, as well as in the body and the subconscious mind with hypnotherapy, and coordinating all three elements. But clarity, the power of clarity, is about purifying the signal and having a laser beam energy that then means it's a very clear signal, which means things can come very quickly back. And when we're clear and concise about that, and taking our investment of ourself as the product that I am with the elements that are involved with that, and concentrating it with the clarity and the purity as much as possible, and therefore becoming a laser beam of a focus and an energy instead of the diffuse spread light of sunlight. Same energy, same thing, just used very differently. The other element I like to introduce clients to is hypnosis is very alternative for most people, but it's really just an unknown thing. And really, the thing that's happening is very scientifically proven and based. So when we're talking about what has created the result that I have in my life, that is what this is. It's the conditioning, it's the patterns, it's the program, it's the well-worn, well-understood, learned over time effect of how we've been trained over time. If you do something repetitively, it becomes then, what does it become? It becomes a well-worn path. And here we're actually talking about a neurological path. We're actually talking about how we think and how we feel and how we are influences everything in our physical being. It influences our chemistry, it influences our immunology, it influences our biology, it influences our well-being in every which way. So can our thinking make us sick? You bet. Can our thinking make us well? You bet. So when we can begin to understand that when we're changing our way of being, we're changing so many things all at once. So when people come to me, sometimes they can think that they have a long shopping list of a lot of things that they really want. But because I'm working holistically, because I look at the whole person, getting to the core elements of what the block is about helps to release the block, which means that a lot of different things all at one time can then become solved. They can be achieved. So it's about looking at how I have worn a path in my mind, in my brain, that has made things an automatic program. 95%, they estimate, is pretty much the same today as yesterday and will be the same again tomorrow, unless we get out of the matrix, we become conscious and aware and can see ourselves objectively in our subjective way of being and choose a different way. So it is literally having to create a new path, and then in repetition of a new path, in a new way of being, both with hypnosis and conscious control and practice, that we're then creating a new neurological path. So it's in my new thinking and my new speaking and my new actions, in my new way of being, that I am creating a new me. The next chapter, the next part of what we're going to talk about today in terms of quantum hypnosis and how I work and how transformation is made possible with a power punch, introducing these 4 elements and more, but that's what I'm going to cover today, is this idea about the all-inclusive approach. I help people to understand and know that they're nothing less than a miracle and nothing less than a powerful being that is a creative force they can choose to get to know and then guide and direct and form so that they can play their life and win. So this all-inclusive approach is a bit about what we looked at last time, about the metaphysical world, the universe at large, the quantum field where all possibilities exist, the big black hole that gets talked about that is everything, that everything comes from. And it isn't a big black hole of nothing. It is energy that can be influenced and with which all things come from. So this metaphysical world environment, and then us as an individual, 2-part self, the soul, infinite knowing, intelligence that creates us, that keeps us functioning daily without us using any effort whatsoever. And then the physical us, with our body, with our heart, emotions, and with our mind. And that this is a vibration of energy, and that this is a magnetic attraction, and that these two together is what our individual personal signature is to the universe, influencing the environment, but also to that degree, also our physical beingness. The truth of the fact that they have a wisdom within, a knowing within, that it's like a North Star on the heavens that can help the individual be guided to the right things in their life. So it's a personal truth. There is no one way for us all to live. There is our own individual truth and way to live. So as Jesus said in the Bible, I am the truth and the way and life and light. That is the truth I've come to understand, is the possibility of this superpower within. No matter what we call it, it's irrelevant. But knowing that it's there and how to use it and how it can help our life be heaven on earth. Help us to live into why we're really here. We talked about that. Why are we here? To create what we choose, that we want, and realize it and experience it. And we're doing it for the joy of it. So it's bringing all of these elements together, understanding that we're not alone, that all answers are within us, each and individually. And I get confirmed that in every client session that I have. And then more importantly, the client themselves start to understand the truth that it's there. And then I help to bridge the gap so that they can get to know themselves better, to be themselves true. And that is the whole solution. So the fact that it's worthwhile influencing our energy is one thing, and we do that through our thinking and our feeling. And that we're a duality, so we have the soul within, the all-knowing within, our wisdom and knowing within, and our own personal way of thinking and being. But on top of that, as a holistic hypnotherapist, I then pull in how we can coordinate what it is we dream of, coordinate what it is we want, and helping understand how we can make a change in hypnosis in the deeper layers of how we have been, that we don't want to be, and how we want to make the change and create that in the open hypnotic state where easy change can happen and be layered as an integrated between the mind and the body, the feelings and the knowing, and make that change possible that's deep and lasting. Something else I want to add to it, there's also this quantum element that I help clients to use the power of. It's how to leverage themselves in using this superpower that exists. Dr. Joe Dispenza is such a credible source in terms of helping people understand how they need to create themselves new in order to release and let go of their block that has created sickness and illness, disease within, disease, and how to, through knowing of themselves and the model of metaphysical and everything he teaches, that he helps them to then make the changes within and communicate with the outer to then release the illness, release the block in terms of thereby harmonizing and being a coherent, holistic, open channel. And that's just one example of one person doing the similar work that I'm doing, bringing all of these elements. But he introduces his clients to his meditation. And that is his tool to tune into the superpower. I use hypnosis to tune into the superpower. But basically, what we're achieving is the same, which is making this conscious mind quiet. Shh. So that there is a peace. The waves are made quiet. The noise is quietened. And in the still of our mind, we are an open channel to all this inner knowing and wisdom. That is our healing power. It is also our creative power. So no matter whether we've got a past we need to heal, coming to me for therapy, to release whatever it is in that rear view mirror, that past story that has had a physical effect and an emotional effect, that can be one thing. Or it could be wanting to tune into this superpower to boost our success, to boost our magnetism to the good life. Whichever approach, I'm open to it all. But it's in this power of activating deliberately with an intention and a knowing, acknowledging it and knowing the superpower exists. And thereafter working deliberately, cooperatively with this superpower to then close the gap, whatever that gap is. Closing the gap from how I've been, what I've had, to the solution of who I need to be, what I need to do in my investment of myself to realize this that I want to realize. So going from the old me to the new me. And that is through hypnosis or meditation. And it's also through how we can use the investment of ourselves, the power of our mind, the power of our feelings, and how I help clients to guide themselves in their own knowing from within, that they have actually all the answers already, but through their learning it, knowing it, understanding it, and then doing it, that they can guide themselves in their own magical creations in their life. But it involves using the superpower to leverage and lift in an easy way ourselves through our life instead of the hard way, the force instead of the power. And one of the greatest keys of that work is the power of our imagination. Getting beyond the physical reality of the now and then moving into beyond in that non-physical, metaphysical, beyond the now, living into that, investing ourselves in that to then create new and bring from that into the physical. So from mind to matter, taking it from the invisible to the visible. Exciting. So there are a couple of things about that I've just said. The power for people in making the transformational change that they do when they're working together with me in their change is largely based on the power of going to the core of what it's all about. The fastest way for us to make a change, no matter what it is we want, is by going to the end and thinking about the identity of the person that I need to be and become, and then living into that reality already now. So that's where the power of the imagination comes in. That's where the power of understanding that it's about identity. That's the easiest way to make the change, is talking into the identity that I need to know, understand, and live into and make real. Also, in that understanding is getting to know who I have been that created what I've got that I don't want, and then transforming the before now in the now and releasing it and letting it go. So as Carl Jung talked about, we can be so free in the now that our future has nothing to do with our past. But that requires some work. Depending on what that past for us, each individual one of us that has been, we need to stop looking in the rear view mirror and start to then understand out of that what I need to do now going forward, and then look forward. So it's looking back to get wiser, to then be different in the now. And that's where in hypnotherapy, I can help people make the deeper changes that needs to happen in that level of how deep it is with the neurological paths and patterns and the body's memory and the triggers and all of those things that go on that are in that deeper understanding and knowing. That means that when we can go to conversational therapy, we haven't quite gotten to the core of it. There's something within that tells us it's not quite solved. It's not quite deep enough. It's not quite there yet. And isn't that wonderful? That just talks to that duality, the reality and truth of the fact that we are a two-part me. That I know when I'm there and I know when I'm not. I know when I'm on point and I know when I'm not. So it's being true to that knowing and understanding. So in hypnotherapy, getting that insight, understanding where, with what, did it go wrong, created the block, has held me back. And in that insight and knowing, releasing it and letting it go, and then creating new. So I am so proud of the fact that breaking the social heritage of our upbringing is absolutely what my work is about. The next part of this chapter that I want to talk about is a continuation of this, which is all really about the theme of know thyself. So this idea about know thyself, that we need to appreciate and understand how powerful a creative force we are. So that's also a part of this waking up to our own power. That I have been potentially walking in an automatic default set of programming, conditioning, the matrix that I have been in without me even knowing it. So it's about waking up to that subjective living and understanding that although it is mine, and it is my subjective reality, it has been something that I have been trained and conditioned through what I have heard and what I have observed and what I have lived and what I've experienced, that has been on repeat over time made into my current reality. So the older we get, the more we have authority over our own life and an ability to take control, then we can step out of that and begin to objectively look at that and understand that it doesn't have to be that way. That if my thoughts create my reality, then I can start a new thought. I can have a new thought. I can stop a thought and start a new one. Wow. So this is where it's this fantastic ability to look at oneself new and then decide, what do I want to stop and what do I want to start? So understanding this creative force that we are, how powerful our thoughts are, and then our words are, and then our actions are, and understanding the power of telling a new story. So when we understand where we're at and what we don't want, and then we understand what we do want, well, then we've got all the elements we need to how to close that gap. And one of those powerful things is becoming a new storyteller. When I think new and speak new and live new, then I am creating new. The fantastic thing is that I love evidence. The greatest evidence clients get to have is seeing how quickly it is true. Even after the first session, when we've done a lot of foundational change in looking at what we need to look at to understand what needs to change, that once we do that and then take them into hypnosis and then upgrade their operational system, that after already the first session, they have had experience in the first week after visiting me of the change they have made on the inside that already has translated to change on the outside. The thing I also want to introduce you to here as a concept in how I work with quantum being the quantum field, quantum being understanding the connection between my personal energy, the client's personal energy, and the environment in which we're interacting with. Whether we're conscious about it or unconscious about it, it's happening. It's this understanding that it's a creation, not a competition. So it's a whole nother way of approaching life when you go into these creative manifestations approach to life. In understanding the power of myself in my subjective world, understanding then how to leverage that personal subjective power to the benefit of ourselves, but also after that it is a carry-on effect further out. But in our asking for something, we're actually then creating the very thing. So understanding this quantum energy field and how we are in the energy field, we start to understand that it's not about the externals at all. It's not about anybody on the outside or anything on the outside. It's all about me with me and me in my self relationship, about the external universe. So when we know we need something, then when we've needed it, it's been answered. And that's the work that I do with the client to understand, well, how do I go from having asked for it and it arriving? Oh, exactly. That's all about the creative power and force of ourselves, and what I help clients to tweak and understand so they can be a match to what they've asked for. And then it will come. 1 + 1 = 2 with that certainty. When I've asked it, it has been created instantaneously. And in my own personal work of making the change I need to make, then I can become a match to it, and I will know it when I am, because then it will become my reality. So there's no competition. It's all about when I ask, when I think it, when I feel it and experience it, when I know that I have been in need, that the answer and the solution is to find, is in existence. And the work I need to do is be a match to it, so it can become my solution in the physical experience of myself. The element of quantum really is a power punch. And what I mean by that is, let's talk now about the fourth part that I want to talk about, is the environment. Me as a product in an environment. But what sort of environment am I in? We talked about it all the way through in terms of building this foundation to this conversation today. But it is this idea about, we talked about Einstein mentioning how important what we think and believe, because it creates our reality. So this idea about what sort of environment do we believe we're living in? What sort of world are we in? And I must admit, I'm a bit like a Mother Teresa in terms of, I agree with where she said, I am for peace, but therefore I'm not going to argue against war. So clearly, Mother Teresa was a metaphysicist, as she understood the power of who she is and how to positively influence the mission, the purpose, the call. And that is what I appeal now to you to do. That I consider myself a light worker. I believe in a friendly universe. I believe in the good life. I believe in going for the good life. I believe in asking for it and believing it and aligning with it to then call it in and make it your reality. So that's what I want to talk to about in the last part of this session with me today. It's about what sort of environment do I believe I live in? And I want to appeal to you that my truth, my understanding, my knowing, my answer now is that it is a one source, one creative power that we're all a part of, that we've all come from, are a part of, that lives within us, each and every one of us, that is our own personal definition of this one source. And that is what lives within us. And then we have our own personal way of being, personality, our own way of thinking that is unique and individual to us. And that this environment, this world we're living in, is from this one source. So when we choose to believe and live into the safety that can give us, that strong feeling of security that can give us, where we can feel totally supported, like a backbone in our life, and knowing that this is what I call 100% pure positive energy. And that this energy is a light, and it's love, and it's created laws, physical laws that we need to live by, to know and recognize and live by, to then thrive and live well in this life that is about following your bliss, and through your bliss, creating joy and having fun, not taking it so seriously. Because when we understand and know that life is here to support us, to serve us, to honor us, And in our asking, we are answered, every single one of us, every single time. And it energetically exists. And then the work that I help clients to do with themselves is close that gap, whether it's from disbelief to belief, from the self-doubt to loving thyself, to the critiquing of oneself, to speaking kindly and lovingly to oneself. It's about doing the work that needs to be done to be the best match we possibly can to that high frequency living that our one source always is, that our inner being always is, that is the channel when we're open with it and flowing with it, that we experience the well-being of and the good feelings of, which is why my channel is about good feel living. I like to take what seems complex and make it simple. And as Einstein said, if you can't explain it, then you don't understand it. So I try to take what seems complicated and make it as simple as we can possibly do it, and make it into a metaphor that can be understood no matter who it is looking at it, that we can see the simplicity. And that is what is so profound about it. So the complex made simple in the work that I help clients to do together with me and alone between sessions, because it is them. They're the miracle in their own life because they have all the answers. They're both the problem and the solution. They're both the block and can create the ability to be in flow. So that's what my work is. It is releasing, helping the client to understand what their block is, helping them to release the block and to be themselves true by harmonizing with the truth within, so that that is the light and the way is their truth. Their truth, when they follow that way and are that light and are that love and are that high frequency, tuned in, tapped in, turned on to the truth within, then the truth is revealed and the solutions are revealed and the transformation is possible. So thank you for tuning in today. I hope this has helped you to realize how powerful you are and what work is possible. But let's not be afraid of how complex it might seem, because it isn't. That the transformational change with these elements that I've talked about can seem big and complicated and involve a lot. But with each session has its intent, its purpose, and then there's time between sessions, and it's the individual's choice as to how ambitious they are, how much they want to gear up, level up, and upgrade their version. How ambitious is their vision? How ambitious is the change? What needs to happen? And it's just take it easy. Just, I meet you where you're at. We start where we need to start, and it unfolds in a natural way. So to summarize, that's what I love about the work that I do. Each individual I have the privilege of meeting is a new opportunity to be the detective together in what it is we need to find that needs to be corrected, transformed. Where that conscious mental fitness coach comes in. And then the quantum element, where that manifestations coach comes in. And it's all about knowing thyself, changing a perspective. And in a new changed perspective, we're changing energy. And in changing energy, we're creating a change in life. So remember, ultimately, it's about feeling good, because feeling good is what we naturally, instinctively know and are going after. So no matter what it is that a client is seeking, it's really about wanting to feel good or feel better. So choose to invest in you so that your life can feel as good as possible. Follow your bliss, make heaven on earth, and enjoy this ride.